Assalamu alaikum students. Today the topic of our class is this is a chapter selected from English for Today book, and we are going to discuss about this chapter. Hakaluki Haor is basically one of the major wetlands in our country. What does wetland mean? In Bangla, we call it Jalabhumi. In English, we may call it as floodplain. So, Hakaluki Haor is one of the major wetlands in our country, and here we find that this major wetland has a big importance in our country. Why? Although our country is full of many rivers, many wetlands, many floodplains, but few of them are so large as Hakaluki Haor, and few of them are so much geographically important. At the same time, there are many wetlands which are now being dried up, but Hakaluki Haor is still functioning, although it is being threatened because of human activities nowadays. Hakaluki Haor is included as one of the major endangered places in the list of UNESCO, and UNESCO is continuously actually pressurizing us to preserve Hakaluki Haor so that the rich biodiversity of this Haor may not be extinct. So let's at first go through the geographical description of Hakaluki Haor. Hakaluki Haor, it is actually 19,000 plus hectares. The area of Hakaluki Haor is 19,000 plus hectares, and the population around this Haor is at least around 1,90,000, that is almost 200,000 people. So their whole life, their whole livelihood depends upon Hakaluki Haor. They fully depend upon Hakaluki Haor, and this is one of their major source of income. This is one of the major sources of their livelihood, etc. Now, the boundary of Hakaluki Haor is bounded by two major rivers, Surma and Ushiara. Also, there are Penchugons Railway at one side, and this Hakaluki Haor, it is situated into two administrative districts, that is Moulvibazar and Sylhet. So basically this is the part of these two administrative districts, Moulvibazar and Sylhet, and now comes the importance of Hakaluki Haor. One of the major importance of Hakaluki Haor is its biodiversity. Now, what is the biodiversity? What do we understand by this word biodiversity? This is variety of the living creatures. Many of you are from science background and you know what biodiversity is. In a nutshell, we can say that biodiversity refers to the variety of living creatures in a particular place or at a particular natural environment. So Hakaluki Haor is one of the major places which supports the a very rich biodiversity, and it is the resting place of many species which are not available or they are endangered. Many endangered species live in Hakaluki Haor. For example, this Hakaluki Haor is the resting place of the migratory birds. Now, what's that? Let's explain. This is the resting place of many species. One of them is bar-headed goose. What is bar-headed goose? This is a particular type of goose which is not available nowadays in fresh waters. What does fresh water mean? That is, in Bangla we call it mitha pani. Now, bar-headed goose is not available in the other parts of the country, in the other sources of fresh waters in our country, but bar-headed goose is available in Hakaluki Haor, and we find that this rare species is still available in this part of our country. So this is one of the example how Hakaluki Haor supports the rich biodiversity of this particular area. Another important thing is this is actually a resting place for the migratory birds. So this is actually a resting place for migratory birds. We know that during the winter many birds come from the very cold areas, very ice cold from the countries where there is very low temperature like Siberia, Russia. From there many migratory birds come to our country, because although our winter is very much severe, but for them it is okay. That is, for them it is tolerable. So many birds come from Siberia, even from Alaska as well, and they reside in some particular parts of our country. One of those are the Hakaluki Haor. Although the number of migratory birds and the rare birds species is decreasing at Hakaluki Haor. What's the reason? One of the major reasons here is we see the deforestation. That is when you are destroying the trees around Hakaluki Haor and building houses and setting up other infrastructures. Ultimately, these birds, they don't find any nesting place. They do not find any place to build up their nest. That's why a little number or a decreasing number of birds are nowadays coming at Hakaluki Haor. Another is illegal poaching. This refers to illegal hunting of the birds. We know that basically hunting of migratory birds is illegal in our country, but there are many poachers who are still doing this heinous act. Now, because of this illegal poaching, Hakaluki Haor is losing its one of the major attractions, that is the migratory birds. But apart from these birds, there are other species which are important part of Hakaluki Haor's biodiversity. And what's that? Let's see. That is fishes. Fishes are an important part of Hakaluki Haor because there are many fishes which are available in this wetland. Basically, Hakaluki Haor is a very complex ecosystem. There are more than 200 beels and jol mohals. Now, what is jol mohal? Jol mohal is a kind of pond, small pond, and even there we find many species of fishes. So in the rainy season, basically, these beels and jol mohals, who are interconnected and who supplies much water into the main part of Hakaluki Haor, they are the dwelling place and they are basically the breeding place of many fishes. And this fishery supports the fishing community around the Haor, who not only eat them but also they sell those fishes into market and they also earn much money. So some fishes available in Hakaluki Haor are which are not available in the markets of our Dhaka city or other big cities. Like one is Kalibaush, another is Ghaghot, another species is Chapila. During the monsoon season, a good number of fishermen, they come to Hakaluki Haor and they catches fish, and many of them eat those fishes. Many fishes are sold in the markets of Maulabhibazar and Sylhet, and the people around these two districts, they get their very wonderful source of protein from this Hakaluki Haor. So basically Hakaluki Haor is a major source of protein for the community living in Sylhet and Maulabhibazar district. So let's proceed. This is not the only benefits Hakaluki Haor provides. Moving to other benefits, before moving towards other benefits, let me mention another thing. That is, nowadays the number of fishes is also decreasing in Hakaluki Haor. Why? Because of the urbanization. Because of urbanization, lots of sands are coming to this Hakaluki Haor and they are being collected at the banks of Hakaluki Haor. So what happens, that is, at the coastal area and even the deep part of Hakaluki Haor is overflowed by the sands carried by the rivers around Hakaluki Haor. So what happens, that is, the resting places of these fishes are being endangered and they are gradually being destroyed. Because of that, what do we see? We see that Hakaluki Haor, there we find that a good number of fishes are being endangered, one thing, and they are losing their nesting places and they are losing their breeding places as well. Because in the monsoon season, basically a good number of mother fisheries, they come to Hakaluki Haor and they breed in those places. But what happened here, that is, they do not find any resting place or any breeding place, and they are not finding any breeding place nowadays because all their former breeding places are overflowed by sands. This flow of sand is one reason. Another reason is the death and destruction of destructions of aquatic plants. So because of this destruction of aquatic plants, we see that these aquatic plants are continuously being destroyed by the rapid environmental pollution, the rapid destruction of the environment, and we see a good number of aquatic plants are being dying out. So the fishes, they cannot find their resting place, even they cannot find their source to eat in many cases, because some of them perhaps depend on the vegetation system of these aquatic plants. So ultimately the effect is being felt by the fishes, the fisheries around Hakaluki Haor as a whole, and we see that there is a great decrease in the number of fisheries in Hakaluki Haor. So apart from being a source of resting place of the migratory birds and being a source of fisheries, Hakaluki Haor is source of some other benefits. For example, this provides grazing land. This provides grazing land for the cattle around the locality. That is, the cattle around the localities of Hakaluki Haor, they come and graze on the lands of Hakaluki Haor when it is winter, during the winter season. So in the rainy season, Hakaluki Haor becomes the source of fisheries. In the winter season, it becomes the source of grazing land, and it becomes the source of grass and reeds, Nolkhagra, Beth. So grasses and reeds are collected by the people living around the localities of Hakaluki Haor. So they find their grazing land, they find their source of fisheries, they find their source of protein from this particular land area. So Hakaluki Haor actually is at the center of the lives of almost 200,000 people. However, this particular area is being endangered continuously. One is because of rapid deforestation. Another is because of the flow of sands and the rapid urbanization around the areas of Hakaluki Haor. So we must protect this endangered natural heritage of ours. Otherwise, a good number of people will face severe consequences, as Hakaluki Haor itself is a source of livelihood for many people. Now, what types of question may be set up from this chapter? You must go through the word meanings and the synonyms of the difficult words, and also you have to study the passage properly so that you may answer any question. For example, a question may set up like, what is the boundary of Hakaluki Haor? Another question may be set up like, what kinds of economic benefit Hakaluki Haor provides? Another question may be set up like, what are the reasons behind the decrease of the fisheries in Hakaluki Haor? And one thing you must do, that is, you have to learn how to write down the summary. You have to learn to summarize this passage. While you are summarizing a passage, you at first select the particular sentences which represent the essence of the passage. But should we copy those things and that is all? No, the answer is not. Rather, what we should do is we should paraphrase those particular sentences. We should change the vocabulary, we should change the grammatical structure of those sentences, and we should rewrite those sentences in our own ways. Copying anything from the passage while you are summarizing a passage is highly discouraged, and your marks will be deducted if you do this. This is all for today, students. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.